Well, hello there. And thank you so much for joining me for Module 3. This module is on mindfulness. If you observed the second module about meditation, you would know that meditation in and of itself is consciousness, is the focus on consciousness. Mindfulness could very well be considered to be conscious of consciousness, to be aware not only that you have thoughts and feelings, but to examine their sources, to recognize their triggers, and to be aware of the results of having those same thoughts, feelings, and expressions. The definition of mindfulness really is a psychological state of awareness, which means that when we are mindful, we are aware of the noise inside our minds and that the thoughts and feelings are not ourselves. When we are mindful, we pause from electronic communication and news and video games. The discipline is best correlated with a practice that utilizes the time for spirituality, spiritually centered behaviors. As with meditation, I thought it would be important to begin with an exercise in mindfulness and an invitation to pause and reflect on something that brings us great joy, brings you great joy. And I ask that you lay aside everything that surrounds you right now and focus your attention on that which brings you great joy. Maybe it is a piece of music. Maybe it is a piece of pumpkin pie. Maybe what brings you the greatest joy as a child or a grandparent. Maybe it's a place. Maybe it's the beach. Maybe it's a certain house, a childhood home. Whatever it is, I ask you to pause and with your mind examine that which brings you great joy. The sight of it, the contours of how it feels. Does it have a scent? Does it have a sound? Is it the creaking and slamming of a screen door at a beloved aunt's house? Is it the dew on the grass of the field before that first sporting event? Is it the soft, gentle scent and smell and feel of a baby's cheek upon your lips? Is it the taste of a delicious dessert? As you focus your attention on that which brings you such great joy, I ask you to recognize the components of it: the taste, the smell, the sight, the sound. And then I ask to do a small and yet brief body scan. How do your hands feel? How does your heart beat? Is it fast, slow, methodical, and lifting up this moment of joy? Do you notice that your shoulders are relaxed? Do you notice that your muscles feel relaxed? Is there relief and a sense of the absence of tension in your abdomen. In this moment of joy, what is the expression on your face? How big is the smile? Are your eyes wide open? Do they squint as you peer closer into that which brings you so much joy? Is there a lightness in how you sit? Are you lifted up in the seat, in the chair? Does your head feel lighter? Do you notice pain disappear from you as you are aware of this joy? The use of mindfulness techniques and strategies allows us to recognize that we are not our thoughts, but there's a space between our thoughts and ourselves that is open to examination. In the same way that you considered something of great joy, you may be also able to consider something that you find very stressful. Maybe a meeting, maybe a conversation with a particular person, maybe it's travel in your car. And just as in the same way that we examine the individual experiences associated with joy, you can also recognize those in this other experience. We're aware of whether we find perspiration in our hands or whether we feel the muscles taut, tight. We feel a heaviness on our shoulders. Mindfulness invites us to be aware of, number one, what exactly is it that triggers these feelings? And two, what exactly is it that happens when we have those feelings? Right? Is there a dryness in our mouths? It is in mindfulness that we step out. We're not in the experience. We're just reliving the experience. We are examining the experience and the components associated with it and recognizing that this event, activity, engagement creates this reaction, experience, feeling. And mindfulness invites us to recognize the fact that this is going on all the time within us, and that pausing and being aware of it reduces or encourages our bodily reactions. We can reduce and or encourage those individual components associated with the final experience. And that if you sat still in one place and focused on what brought you great anxiety versus what brought you great joy, an outside observer isn't aware of that. But the interior of who you are changes completely. Mindfulness, therefore, in examining this, right, is a power of the mind that helps us recognize that it's happening without adding commentary or a judgment, right? It says, this is the event, these are the expressions, these are the feelings, right, that are associated with it. It involves maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of various aspects of our experience. Thoughts, sensations, feelings. The reality, however, exists that once we begin a mindfulness journey, many thoughts, feelings, and emotions are stirred up. And it's important to be aware of them It's important to honor them, right? And if so be it, have a conversation with somebody who maybe professionally understands that. In all cases, mindfulness allows us to be aware that there are these reactions that are going on, aware that with consciousness, right, we know the event, but to be conscious of of our consciousness means that we notice and call out what it is, not with judgment, but with honesty, right? This conversation creates this dry mouth moment, or this piece of pie, for example, brings all these experiences inside my mouth, the sweetness, the memory of a certain person, all those continued chains of consciousness or unconsciousness that connects us to be so happy, so joyful, or so despondent, or so sad, all of which are a part of who we are, all of which it's important to be aware of. And the reason why mindfulness is important is because mindfulness drives either our reaction or our response. And therefore, being aware, being conscious of our consciousness allows us to then choose to either continue that path or choose a different path associated with that experience. Consciousness, mindfulness, recognizes that there is a stimuli and there is a response. Examine the response and decide whether that needs to be changed. Mindfulness gives us the space to do that, right? Mindfulness invites us into an experience that is not happening presently, but then can happen for us. And that we become aware of all the components, all the spokes of the wheel that go back to that experience. And so mindfulness invites us to focus on ourselves, focus on who we are and what we are about, and then to repeat and to practice how it is that we want to feel, and to find other healthy and meaningful ways to continue positive expressions, and to be honest about those negative expressions and understand them deeper. And what I'd like to do now as a practice to mindfulness is to ask you all to take out your cell phones, right? Take out your smartphone. And then what I'd like for you to do is put on the camera and put it in selfie mode and look at yourself. Don't look at anyone else. Don't scroll through messages. Don't check your email. Just look at the image in the camera. That is the person that I want you to concentrate on for the next few minutes. Hearing my voice, but not looking at me. Look at the image in that phone. Who is the person in that image? Tell me now how you feel. Tell yourself how you feel. Be mindful. Be conscious of your consciousness. See what passes your mind and be aware of it. Now pause and try to clear your mind. Look into that image, and with ears prepared to listen, hear that this is the person who you will be with for all time. This is the person that you will live with forever. This is the person who is most important in the relationship with God. This is the person who is going to be happy and at peace, who praises God, who reverences God, and who serves God. This is the person who God looks upon as beloved, as good, as holy, and as important. As you think about those words, as you are conscious of good, holy, beloved, important, be conscious of how your body feels in seeing this, in hearing this, and in knowing this. Mindfulness invites us to open our senses to our thoughts and our feelings, gives us an opportunity to align our senses with the thoughts and feelings that we so deserve to feel. To look in the mirror of that picture and see what God sees. To, as Richard Rohr would say, be mindful of your inherent dignity. I ask you to put down your phones. I ask you to remain conscious of your consciousness, to be aware of all of you, head to toe, in every experience, either at the moment that it occurs or in reflection. And to know that you are valued and important to God. And that is why, in processing mindfulness, you move closer and deeper in your relationship so that you can be restored, that your soul can magnify the Lord, and it becomes this vibrant, glowing presence within. And that takes time and courage and talent, which you all have, and to know the truth. God loves you, and so do I.